welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. I'm your host, JR. We've got a lot to talk about going on in the Big Ten. It is the basketball episode, and we're here with Ryan from Keeping It Orange and Blue. I almost said Keeping It Blue and Orange. That would have really been a mess up there. So I apologize for that, Ryan. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, even though your shirt is not necessarily the color of Illinois, I believe it is an Illinois shirt, right?
It is, yeah. This is
Yeah.
a homage shirt. It
Yes.
says Lion Eye, so not an Illinois shirt, an Lion Eye shirt, I guess.
But still, yeah, close enough. We'll take it, man.
I
Uh,
figured I'd dress for the occasion. We're gonna get into some deep stuff with
yeah, I know,
Illinois
man.
basketball tonight. So
I'm ready. So we'll see how Illinois fans do with today's episode. But I'm always gonna stand up and represent. So, but we got a lot of other fun things on. Anyway, we'll just before we get to it, you guys, if we mentioned the podcast, Keeping It Orange and Blue. Our YouTube channel at 200 Columns, and then Keeping It Orange and Blue is the title of the podcast. That's on YouTube. It's on Spotify. It's on Apple Podcasts, and it's on 200columns.com. That's my website, and we post all the live streams on there. And so we appreciate a Big Ten fan watching. If you have any interest to kind of know the ins and the outs, what's going on with Illinois sports, maybe before a game. Check it out. And we got a Discord thing going too, JR.
yes, we do. Yeah, sign up for the Discord. Ryan will get you that information if you want it. We're still getting some other teams signed up and stuff like that. But Illinois is popping. So if you're an Illinois fan, reach out to Ryan about the Illinois Discord there.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. So I'm ready, man. Let's get to it, JR.
All right, we got Philip here. Philip's ready to go. Philip, I know you're excited for some good Illinois talk. Philip, I do want to warn you. I'm going to come off as a hater at some point. I am not a hater. I have concerns that are about the program because I want the program to do well. And I think Ryan is a little bit more positive about the program than I am right now. So I know I'll still get hate for it, even though I say that, but it's fine. And then, yes, Philip, Cam Christie, he is in the portal. I don't know if he's going to Illinois. I'm sure Ryan would have more information on that, but we'll talk about some portal stuff. And if we need to, we can get into this. Ryan, do you have any idea? Cam Christie, Illinois, is there any connection there at all?
The fact that he's got a no contact says a lot. I think it's kind of like Coleman Hawkins.
More on the NBA, it sounds like.
That's the thing. Is like Coleman Hawkins has done the same thing where he's got his no contact up. Basically, like, I want to focus on this. Do not reach out to me. And I think Illinois is working on some other things. So, stay tuned, Phil. We're going to get to it. And I'm going to be mentioning a couple different things. So, but Cam Christie's not one on my hot top board right now.
Love it. All right, let's get into the first topic here. Move us on over. All right, so John Tonje, if you're not aware of what is going on with Wisconsin, a little bit of drama happened over the weekend. John Tonje on April 25th committed to New Mexico. Joe Tipton tweeted it out. John Tonje tweeted it out. I mean, this was retweeted, and actually it's still up. I checked today. It's still up by Joe Tipton over on Twitter. So this is not something that happened and like it got taken down right away. But Geoff Grammer here said that Tonje posted on his social media accounts his commitment to play for the Lobos, that being New Mexico, on a social media account on Thursday, and after that accepted an offer to go play at Wisconsin, is what the Journal has learned from now multiple sources. Now, I will say 24/7 has not officially put John Tonje with Wisconsin. In fact, on their website, I checked right before we came on, it still says that he's committed to New Mexico on the timeline thing, at least 24/7. I didn't get a chance to check on 3, but 24/7 at the bottom, it still says that he is committed as of April 25th. It doesn't say anything about committed elsewhere, signed elsewhere, anything like that. But I know that Wisconsin websites have been writing about how John Tonje is in fact coming, and they have sources as well that are saying the same thing. So kind of a mess of a situation here. Some of the places that I looked at, obviously Geoff Grammer, Badger Notes, Badger of Honor. Those are all reputable places that have good
reputations.
What about Bucky
Report?
I did not check Bucky Report. I don't know if they've been talking about it yet. So we
We got to get
We got
him
to
up.
check in with those guys.
Yeah, we got to get him up
Yeah.
on it. If
I
not,
checked in with Rajiv and he wasn't able to come on tonight, unfortunately, but we'll get them on at some point. Anyway, Ryan, man, this entire situation, what do you think is going on here? Do you think there's tampering involved? Do you think that, maybe this kid just committed prematurely and now he's changing his mind? What are your thoughts on this situation, Ryan?
yeah. Oh, I think 100% committed prematurely. And right now, nowadays, like tampering, anymore with NIL, JR, like, that's, how can you prove tampering when, like there's no, when a kid just announces a commitment without signing anything, it's a wild west out here. We've been talking about it, it's the wild west, and proving tampering right now with so much money being thrown around is a tough thing to do. But
And the NCAA knows if they go after somebody for tampering, it's going to be like Tennessee in football, where Tennessee just takes them to court, and it's like you can't do anything,
yep,
right?
yep. And then another thing with this too, it's a different player, but look at Hawkins from Minnesota, man.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I'm back. I'm coming back to Minnesota, right?
Where'd he go? Texas Tech, I think.
He just committed and signed. He pretty much have sealed it up with Texas Tech because guess what? They offered him way more money.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is now. It's like a kid commits somewhere and you think it's good, but you really can't rest easy nowadays. So I wouldn't be shocked 100% if, Wisconsin was needing some. Think about this. They lost A.J. Storr, Chucky Hepburn. They had the Fiddler kid in who was close to Hepburn, and they thought that we're going to get Hepburn in this. And this kid's like, no, I'm not coming here. Yeah. And I think that really pushed Hepburn to leave because he's like, I have no one. Like, think about this. Ethan, their big man who's been there for 5 years. Tyler Wall. Tyler Wall's gone.
Oh, Tyler Wall, yeah.
So AJ Storr's out, and then he's like, I need some help. But he's like, the Fiddler's like, nah, I'm cool, man. Ended up going to Michigan State. Hepburn dipped because they were offered him more money at Louisville because they've been, they got tons of money there. And same thing with Hawkins at Minnesota. So this tampering thing, man, is going to be really hard to prove. And again, no team is safe once you feel like you have a commit. It's kind of an uneasy moment for every team, even your Buckeyes, man.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Ohio State, and I know we got Fisherman here who he pays attention to the Buckeyes, says no one's safe until it's official by the school. That's what Ohio State did is with Aaron Bradshaw, and I think Micah Parrish, I think is the guy's name. I get him mixed up with some other guys all the time. But anyway, they tweeted out when they officially signed with Ohio State. And I was like, all right, why are you tweeting this out? Like, they already said they committed. And then I figure out this story about John Tonje, and I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, these signing posts are just as important, if not more important, these commitments, because, I mean, like everybody knows in football, right? I mean, I'm not trying to make this into a football show, but just relating it to it. In football, when you are recruiting somebody, it's very likely they could commit to you and then they still take visits elsewhere, and then they can sign with somebody else on signing day. To my knowledge, like, that's never really been the case in transfer portal recruiting. I know it's been the case with basketball recruiting at times, but it's never really been the case with transfer portal recruiting in college basketball. But now we're in a situation where you not only need to get that I'm committed tweet, but you need to also make sure you're on the lookout for that I signed with this school tweet. And I don't even know, I should have looked this up, but I don't even know, is there like a signing day for transfer portal guys, or is it just like whenever you feel like it, you sign on the dotted lines?
Yep, that's kind of how it is, because
that's even scarier.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it is. That's why I said not until it's officially announced by the school and they've signed. And also, here's another thing. Illinois lost to Jace Butler kid who had already signed his NIL, and they just you can get out of an NIL because you know what happens to Illinois if they don't. That's a bad look. And then kids are going to say, no, we don't want to come there. So it's like, man, the players really do have control of these situations. And it's just all about if the player and their parents and their team, their handlers are all happy with the situation. So we'll see what happens with old Tonje. I'll be keeping an eye out for that.
I am too, and that's the thing too. Like, I'm not here to like crap on the kid or anything like that, but he didn't strike me as like the best player in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's
Yeah.
a good
He was
player.
just
He didn't have the best stats in the world, but
yeah.
he was fine. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know. I don't even think it's tampering by Wisconsin, because I look at it like I said, football, where it's like, if somebody's committed but they are not signed, it's just their word. Whatever, like, and it's unfortunate. I don't want the sport to be this way, but if we're looking at what tampering actually is, I don't see it as tampering, because like the dude never signed on the dotted lines. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. I think it was. Some people may think it's shady, but that's just a game. Like I said, the best thing I can say, man, Wild Wild West. That's it.
It is. Truly is. All right, let's move on to the next one here. All right, so this is our big Illinois conversation here, Ryan. Okay, so Ryan, and I, like I said, I'll say this again. I am not an Illinois hater. I am not somebody who is hating on the program. I rooted for Illinois all season long. I think Coleman Hawkins was a fantastic player, and whatever happens with him, whether it be NBA, I hope he goes to the NBA. I think that's the best move for him. He might be able to make more money in college, I guess. Who knows? But all that stuff, I love to watch Illinois, and I like Brad Underwood too. But
Good.
here's my concerns.
Which
all
we
right?
like to
Here's
hear.
my concerns. I am concerned that Illinois is digging themselves into a hole that they're not going to be able to get out of by being too portal reliant. And what I mean by that is Brad Underwood is going out every single year, and he's looking for portal guys every single year. I pulled up some of their classes recently, and in their last 4 classes dating back to 2020, they only have, at least by my count, you tell me if I'm wrong, Ryan, they only have 2 recruits out of 14 in their last 4 classes still on their roster. The Perini French guy last year, he left early. Moretti, Hansberry, they're in the portal. Sky Clark, he left a while ago. Jaden Epps, Sincere Harris went into the portal this year, and then the list goes on and on and on. Like, is Brad, like, I'm not one that says go out there. I've been critical of Purdue. I said similar stuff to Purdue. Don't take 6 freshmen. I don't think it's the right way to go. I think that's dumb, and I think you're setting yourself up for a bad season by their standard. I'm not saying Purdue's going to be outside the top 25, but by their standard, it's not going to be as good as it was this year, because I think you're too freshman reliant. But then at the same time, I think you have to keep a good culture and keep your guys around, at least enough of your guys around to keep a good culture. And we saw what happened last year when Brad Underwood didn't have a good culture. He had really talented players. He had a lot of the same players they had this year, but once that culture got right and once those guys actually bought in, you saw this stuff change. So, Ryan, you tell me, man, are my concerns warranted? Do you have similar concerns, or do you see it completely differently?
I can see. Here's the thing. I can understand people's concerns with it. Now, I would have more concern if this past season ended up like the previous one, because the previous one, the difference though was that they were relying on a lot of young players, and that was the worst year in the last 5 years Illinois had with Underwood. They won 20 games, but barely made the tournament. Lost in the first round, but man, they'd been winning 21 and above, and they'd been playing well into March. So last year was like an anomaly. But the year before that, they had started to, hit the portal. But if you think about this too, they have always really hit the portal good, but they've always hit 1 or 2 that have been all Big Ten players. So if you look at it, remember everybody, Terrence Shannon was a transfer, okay, and had just 2 outstanding first-team All-Big Ten seasons, and actually just this past season had the best season statistically wise in the history of the program. Marcus Damask was first-team All-Big Ten. And then even the year before that, Matthew Meyer was third-team All-Big Ten. He had his own issues, but he still helped keep him afloat to make the tournament. The season before that, when Illinois won the Big Ten regular season, Alfonso Plummer was third-team All-Big Ten, okay? A flamethrower from Utah they got. And then they had mixed in a couple more in there. This year, though, the big difference was a lot of guys, they saw the success that Brad did with hitting the portal a little bit harder this past year and thought, once they saw Kylan Boswell come in, I think they said, well, the writing's on the wall. Brad didn't push all those players out. I think a few of them, they kind of told a few of those players like, hey, we don't really see you playing a lot this year, but, if you want to prove us wrong, then, feel free, stay on. But players don't really want to do that anymore. They just kind of want to be told that you're going to play a lot. And if you're not told that, then they'll just go find a better avenue, which is fair. That's okay. It goes both ways. I think Brad and the staff do tell the team the truth, though. Like when they had their meetings with all those players, I was even told Luke Goody really didn't want to leave, though, JR. I think it's more of he has a family heritage of Hoosier, His uncle was Trent Green, Hoosier. His brother goes to Indiana. His parents, season ticket holders. I think they're like, our son won 2 Big Ten titles at Illinois, and we want 1 year for him to be a Hoosier, like he grew up a Hoosier fan. Like Sincere Harris and Amani Hansberry were Chester Frazier guys, okay? And Chester Frazier left to go to West Virginia. I think 2 or 3 of these are just kind of coincidental things.
I want to get into that Chester Frazier really fast, but finish your thought. Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. But so it doesn't worry me because he proved to me last year and a lot of people that he can juggle new guys coming in. And I think he really cleaned up the culture that wasn't good 2 years ago. I know it's going to be hard to say. You might say, how do you maintain that, right? Well, you can maintain that by these guys looking at what was just happened in the past year, 29 wins, a Big Ten trophy, rings, a banner ceremony to start the season. And they'll still have Ty Rodgers, who really will set the tone. He'll be the leader of the team next season. And Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, who sat and got to see some greatness in front of him. I think there's enough. 2 guys is enough to kind of for these new guys to come in and see, like, this is how things are done. Also, adding Orlando Antigua, JR, is important. The man's a great coach. He's a positive guy, and I think he's a great mentor. So I think that's going to help as well.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up. Let's start with Chester Frazier first. All right, so Chester Frazier goes to West Virginia to be an assistant coach there.
Mm-hmm.
He was an assistant coach at Illinois. Now, maybe he has, a more prominent assistant coach job at West Virginia or something like that. But just me from the outside looking in, and I said this to you in text, and you kind of had a little bit of an issue with it, and I get it. We'll talk about it. But, to me, that's a lower level position. That's a Big 12 position, assistant coach, to a team that just fired their coach last year because of all his issues and that kind of stuff. We don't need to get into that. But then they just fired their coach again this year. I don't know if he was interim. Maybe he was just interim. But anyway, he's gone. They bring in a new coach, and you left Illinois for that. Did Brad Underwood push him out for Orlando or Antigua to come in, or did Chester Frazier leave on his own? Because if Chester Frazier left on his own, I'm looking at that, and I'm like, what in the world is going on? Because you've got one of the best programs in the Big Ten right here, one of the best coaches in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten's one of the best conferences. It's super high up there in RPI rating and net rating by average in conference every single year. It's one of the best conferences, and you're going over to the Big 12, which, yes, it's a really good conference, but West Virginia is not winning that conference anytime soon. Illinois can actually win the Big Ten. For as many as many concerns as I have with Illinois, they could still win the Big Ten. So at the end of the day, why in the world would Chester Frazier leave unless he's being pushed out? To me, it doesn't look like a good thing for Illinois.
I will say that when I corrected you a little bit earlier, it was more of like, be careful saying lower level school or job, because, West Virginia, still a Power 5 school, still has good tradition. Bob Huggins had those guys winning, and he just happened to have some issues with alcoholism that really kind of drug their program down. So, but
right.
in the case of Chester, it was a mutual decision. So I'll lay it out to you like this, and I think a lot of Illini fans kind of know this, and I'll enlighten some Big Ten fans. So Chester Frazier, former Illini player, adored. Everybody loved having him back. They just had differences in opinions on how to go about things. Chester was more of like a you and Russ, You you want to get a little bit more high school players in and not as many transfer portal guys. So Chester was bringing in talented guys. Let's say Sincere Harris. Let's say Amani Hansberry. Let's say Jaden Epps. Okay, Jaden Epps transferred last year. Brad Underwood was not a big fan of Jaden Epps' mentality, the way he went about things, how he carried himself, the kind of teammate he was. Loved him. Yeah, really good player, really good scorer. But that wasn't an everyday guy to Brad. You got to play both ends of the floor. You don't pout, and you're a good teammate. Okay? I think Chester was more of like, he's still young. It's his first year. We can work on him. We can get him right here by his sophomore, junior year, and he can be an all Big Ten guy. Brad was like, I don't want it here, and he can go on. Well, that rubbed Chester wrong because you got to remember, Chester had built relationships with these high school players. Okay, so he'd known Jaden Epps pretty well for 2 or 3 years. When he was at Virginia Tech, 3 years before, he was building a relationship with Jaden Epps. And when your boss is pretty much saying like this, be gone, to these kids that you've gotten to know and you've built really close relationships with, it doesn't look good because who has to answer for that? Chester.
Right.
Chester's an East Coast guy. He's a Baltimore guy, man. He's got all these connections with all those teams and all those coaches. And at the end of the day, while he's still at Illinois on the sideline, he still goes back home. He still goes to those AAU tournaments. And who do you think he's sitting there listening to?
The coaches complaining.
The coaches, the
that
players.
You might get away 1 year after being there.
The parents. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so think about that. And then also, Amani Hansberry, same situation. He's a Baltimore kid. Really quick, I'm doing my show, so can't talk right now. Yep. Anyway, kids. Amani Hansberry, Baltimore, kids and parents got to know Amani really well for 3 years. They got him to come to Illinois. Guess what? Sits most of the year. Guess who has to deal with it? Guess who has to deal with that?
But like that's what I'm getting at with Brad a little bit is like, again, I think Brad is a really good coach, and I'm not of the super same opinion as Russ. I'm kind of like in the middle of you and Russ is the way I look at it. Russ is like bring in 6-5 guys every single year, and your recruits, at least from, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but at least from my discussions with him, he seems to be okay with that. That seems to be the way he leans a little bit more. I'm like, bring in 3, maybe 2 guys who are recruits every single year, really focus in on those guys, really make sure that you keep those guys, and at least 2 of them, keep the majority of the guys that you bring in for your locker room and really develop them and concentrate on having a good culture there with them. And then I look the other way where I'm saying it's okay if guys leave. You know, you don't want guys to leave, but it's okay if they do because you can go supplement with a transfer portal. You know, I don't think every team gets as lucky with their players like Purdue does, where Purdue doesn't lose their guys. Now, Purdue is obviously a top-tier program in the country, and so that's one of the reasons why that doesn't happen. I'm not saying that other programs that lose their guys aren't top tier. I'm just saying that that's kind of the culture they've built there. But the way I look at it is like, yes, you do need to go into the portal and you do need to get guys. I don't completely agree with the Purdue approach of bringing in 1 transfer and 6 freshmen, in a year after you just went to the national championship game. I'm one of the ones where it's like you bring in 2 or 3 freshmen, you bring in 3-4 transfers, but you don't completely change the team with new portal guys, because in my opinion, that's how you start getting into a little bit of the issues. And yes, Colin Gillis bailed, and that was a situation where Purdue shouldn't have let that happen. I don't know all the details there, but you should have kept Gillis around because he would have been a great player for them. So obviously Purdue's not perfect, but I just think that this like entire roster overhaul, while I think it can work sometimes, I don't see it working every single time. Brad will probably still win 20 games. That's great. But I think you and I can agree, we don't want to just win 20 games. We want to make it to the Sweet 16, the Elite 8, the Final Four.
Yeah. You know what, though? This year's going to be a big one. We'll see how it goes after this year. I think after this season will be a real good question. So
Yeah.
If Illinois can get back to a Sweet 16 type season, I think then you've kind of got your answer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'll eat my words happily. Like
Yeah,
I said,
so
I want Illinois
I
to do
know
well.
I know it sounds a little rough. But Brad just wants to win. Okay. He's a great guy. He really is. He's a teddy bear really inside as much as people. He's got this tough exterior. The man's paid almost $5 million a year to win. Okay. He's not really worried about if he hurts anybody's feelings. It's a business now. Once this NIL thing has hit, Brad's mentality has changed. And at the end of the day, it's a business. And you think these players are really worried about if they hurt Brad Underwood's feelings? Let's be honest. No,
I don't think they do, and that's part of the thing where I'm looking at it. It's like you still have to have a relationship with your players. I get what you're saying. You don't want to hurt their feelings and stuff like that. Like I totally agree. You can't be concerned with every single player's feelings.
But I think more importantly, though, it's a results oriented business, and he's making all that money. He does have pressure to win. They have been winning, and I'm not going to say. And I think if you ask Terrence Shannon, does Brad Underwood love his players? Does he care about them? Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure he does.
If you ask Marcus Damask, is this guy going to check in on me in 5 years? Yeah. But at the end of the day, he's paid to put the best product on the floor. And if there's guys who don't want to buy into hustle every play, dive on the ball ground, or you just refuse to play defense and you're not an everyday guy, then you know what? Just the scholarship's not guaranteed every year. It's a 1-year thing. It's really like a 1-year lease, So, but I can't blame or fault Chester either. You got to understand, like, it wasn't an ugly split. Like, Chester's happy because he can go. I think Darren DeVries, by the way, is the West Virginia's coach.
Yeah, DeVries. I knew his last name.
He's a very good coach. He got Drake to the NCAA tournament like 3 out of the last 4 or 5 years. So he's a good coach. Yeah. And I think he's more into let's develop younger guys. Like his son played 4 years for him, a great player. He's more into that. Of like, let's recruit. We can grab a couple transfers, but let's build this thing with our younger guys. And Chester's on board with that. So that's really what happened. And there's no ugly animosity between Chester and Brad and Jeff Alexander, any other coaching staff. Brad is happy for Chester, but Brad showed you what he's about, and Josh Whitman, the athletic director, showed you what he's about with going to get Orlando Antigua. That's like an A+ hire. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about that in just a second. I wanna address just a couple comments, and then we'll get into Antigua, and then we'll be done. That sound good?
Okay.
All right. Bootzilla says Illinois had 5 seniors. Not as simple as a complete overhaul. I get that. The part that I was referencing a little bit earlier, I don't know if you missed it, Bootzilla, is let's look at the draft classes really fast. 2020, Adam Miller, Andre Cubello, Coleman Hawkins. I get that's a little bit of a different situation. And Brandon Lieb, all in the portal. Okay, like I said, Coleman Hawkins, a little bit of a different situation.
Yeah, he stayed all 4 years. Right. He stayed all 4 years.
It's more NBA than portal right now.
You know what,
I get that.
Hey, let's do a fun game. Name the players that have left, and I'm going to tell you why they left. You want to do that?
Okay, Luke Goody.
Family tradition at IU.
RJ Melendez.
More money from Georgia.
Brandon Podziemski. I can't pronounce his last name.
Didn't play as much as he wanted, plus wasn't guaranteed to start his sophomore year.
Sincere Harris.
Chester Frazier left.
Jaden Epps.
Brad Underwood did not like his demeanor and attitude.
Sky Clark.
Got into a fight with Matthew Meyer in a practice, and dad and mom pulled him right after that.
Zachary Pereira, that French guy.
Homesick, plus did not want to sit in a half a year and build and get stronger. He wanted to play immediately.
Amani Hansberry.
Didn't lack of playing time, and Chester Frazier left.
Nicole Moretti.
Wasn't going to play.
Or Moretti, however you pronounce his last name. I'm
Moretti.
terrible with last names. If it's your first time watching, I'm terrible with last names. It's nothing personal against Illinois guys. Yep. So I get it. I know what you're saying.
Ask me about Adam Miller. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I skipped him in 2020. Adam Miller.
Yeah. His mom was unhappy with, thought he should have played more, even though he started most of that his freshman year. And Io's parents. Okay. This is a true story. Io's family got like twice as many tickets to the Big Ten tournament that year as Adam Miller's, and that pissed his mom off. And so he thought that they were showing favoritism to Io. So she felt her
Can't
son.
make mom angry.
Yeah, can't make mom angry. And I want everybody to know on here, everything I just told you is a fact. So
Yeah.
you got it is
Andre
what it
Curbelo.
is.
I always loved Curbelo.
Okay, the Curbelo one was going through a lot of mental health issues. If you've not noticed, he's still going through them.
He's with Southern Miss now.
He was at Southern Miss. I think that we'll see if they want him around one more year because he's a very big distraction. He's working. He's got some mental health issues, and he's he got a really bad concussion his sophomore year at Illinois and never really fully recovered from it. That's why he wears those glasses when he plays.
Yeah,
he's real sensitive to light and stuff. So yeah, and let me tell you, no one will ever forget Andre Curbelo. Was such a great player, such a fun player.
Yeah, he was one of the players that made me really enjoy watching Illinois basketball for the first time.
I'm gonna tell you what, you guys, if you ever want to go back and see how good Andre Curbelo was, if you're just curious, there's a YouTube video called the 2021 Big Ten Tournament Illini Highlight Recap, the year that they won the Big Ten Tournament when the COVID season was there, with and Lucas Oil. Andre Curbelo may have been the best player on the team in that tournament, dude. Against Iowa, he picked Tony Perkins' pocket like 3 times, had like 3 breakaway dunks. He was feeding Kofi behind his back, alley-oop lobs. I mean, he was special. So
Curbelo and Kofi was a good combo.
Goodness. So. Yep,
right.
Go ahead.
One more comment, then we'll hit Antigua and we'll move on. Began, what has Brad really lost from production standpoint by the guys who have hit the portal? So that's what I'm trying to get at, is that I don't know if he has lost as much production as he's gained. I'm not saying that the guys he's brought in have not been good. Don't hear me saying that. I think that Kalen Boswell is a good player. I think that Dre Gibbs, Longhorns, be a good backup guard for them. I think Ty Rogers is going to have a good season. That new 4, the graduate transfer, who
Ben. Who?
I'm looking it up. Whom Richus.
Yes, okay, yeah.
He's a good player. I like him a lot.
It's Ben Hummerkaus, but yes.
Hummerkaus. I'm terrible with names.
That's all good.
Thank you for correcting me.
Yep.
But I think that they're good players. I just, like I said, I worry about the culture. I think 2 years ago, Brad had a good team. I think that he had good players on there. I think that it was just some more of the culture stuff more than anything else. And I get it, right? 20-win season, when that's your floor, when that's bad for your program, not bad, when that is less than what your program accepts, that's like you're in a really good spot. And that's part of what I'm saying here. I want Illinois to stay in a good spot. All right, so last thing here on Antigua, and then we'll move on, Ryan. My only concern with Antigua is that Antigua is known a lot for his recruiting. Yes or no?
Yes, he is known a lot for his recruiting. That is true, but he's more than just that.
Right, let me just finish really fast, and then I'll let you get into it. So he's known a lot for his recruiting. And he's known a lot for bringing his guys in and kind of them, being one-and-done guys, right? Nerlens Noel, Karl Anthony Towns. I know Kofi Cockburn wasn't that way, but, those kind of guys. Do
you remember Georgie Bashaniashvili?
Who?
Georgie Bashaniashvili.
Oh, no, I don't remember him.
You don't remember Georgie, the fun big guy and the left-handed big guy?
No, I don't remember him as much.
Okay. Well, anyway, but yeah, he brought him in to Illinois. So,
but my only concern is like Antigua is a really, really good recruiter, but it doesn't seem like Brad wants to stick with his recruits as long, and he kind of is just willing to move on from them, which again is fine. But I kind of question the hire of like, why are you bringing in a really strong recruiter if the goal of your program is not to bring in really, really strong recruits? Now, he might be a really good transfer portal recruiter too. I don't know. Maybe.
Yes.
But you tell me, Ryan.
Yeah, so he's going to be a strong recruiter in any asset. He's going to be a strong recruiter in any asset, not just high school recruiting. Transfer portal recruiting as well, as Illini fans are going to be seeing here very soon. And if they think that Ben Hummerkaus wasn't part of Antigua's, he didn't impress Hummerkaus, come on now. You guys need to see the pictures that they took, like the biggest smile on both of their faces. But yeah, they're doing some more international recruiting right now as we speak. They were over in Belgrade, Serbia. So looking at getting a big. So, but yes, here's the most important thing as we transition. He's a great motivator. He's a caring guy who is a tireless worker. He loves to help guys get better. And by the way, you saw improvements every year in Kofi's game, did you not, JR?
No, you did for sure.
Even his free throw shooting got better
And
every year.
that's what I want. I want guys like Kofi who come in and improve every single year and get better and stick around with the program. That's what I want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that next year's – here's another thing. There's no guarantee that next year's team's just going to all leave and it's going to be 10 new guys. There might be 5 new guys next year because you think about it. Ty will be a senior. Dre will be a junior. Merez Johnson probably is going to at least come back one more year. He's an NBA type of guy. Trey White from Louisville probably come back one more year. And the biggest thing is that a lot of these guys they got were on their last season. That's the thing. Damask, Guerrier, Harmon, Shannon, all in their final seasons. They couldn't come back for one more. So it's like when you get guys on their 5th year who are in their COVID season, it does look worse than it really is when – because here's an example. Guerrier would have came back one more year if he could have. Damask tried to come back one more year. Harmon probably would have come back one more year too. But, and it is what it is. So hopefully that answers the question. I know you were doing a little devil's advocate tonight, and I know you kind of believe some of it too. But I'm excited to find out in October when they start practice how this team is going to mesh and gel. And by the way, right now, Illinois has a top 10 transfer portal class. Let's keep that.
They do.
Let's keep that real. And it's going to end up being top 5 probably when it's all said and done.
Oh, for sure. For sure. A couple comments here, and then we'll move on. I think Brad learned a couple years ago about culture fit failures. It's not going to happen again. I really hope you're right, Buzil. Like I said, I'm coming at this as somebody who wants Illinois. I know I got the little Ohio State logo here going on, but I really do want Illinois to do well. I had so much fun watching them this year, and I hate that they ran into UConn because I
think they would have been a Final Four team.
I think they would have been a Final Four team if they didn't play UConn. But, it's just the luck of the draw.
And here's another example. If Purdue had played UConn in the Elite Eight, they wouldn't have been in the Final Four. So,
anybody who played UConn was.
That's what I'm trying to say, people. It's like Illinois just had that draw, so it is what it is.
It stinks, but it is what it is. Really fast, Ryan, who is your guess for the next commit in the portal? You don't have to guarantee it. Do you have a guess?
Oh, no, I'm not putting my crystal ball. Look, I want my crystal balls to mean something. Okay, there's guys
Discord, right?
There's guys for 247 and 1 and all that wouldn't put crystal balls in. They didn't put one in on Hummerkaus. I did. So I'm going to credit myself. But so I would say, who do I think could be the next commit? Like that. That's awesome. That's a great question. I think it's going to be a big man, though. I really think it could be a big man from Europe. And by the way, those names are on the Discord. If you really want to know, come join. They're on the Big Ten. Choose your team, Illini, Illinois. And there's a Illini hot board that I post on the Discord channel. So come on in. Let me get them in, JR.
Check it out. Check it out, everybody. All right, let's move on. Transfer portal recap. All right, so Ryan, the way we're going to do this, let's just go down. I made a list. I assume you have at least a rough list of players. Let's start with some impact departures. We'll go back and forth. Either players who, I guess not either. Players who departed from Big Ten teams. Who do you think is going to make the biggest impact that they will no longer be playing for Big Ten next year, or a Big Ten team next year, or whatever team they left?
You start, JR.
I'll go first, and then you go. We'll go one by one until we're out of names. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So I have 4 names. My first one, Cam Christie. I think that sucks for Minnesota. I think that he was going to be a huge part of what they could do. I think that he's probably going to the NBA. He could come back if he doesn't get a good enough grade and he, doesn't make it high enough. But I think that really, really stinks for them. I think that Minnesota losing Elijah Hawkins, that is huge as well. But at the end of the day, Cam Christie.
Hey, I thought we were going back and forth.
I'm just saying. I'm saying that they lost Elijah Hawkins too. But I'm saying my pick for the bigger one is Cam Christie. Because he was the most talented player on that team. Dawson Garcia, best scorer, but in my opinion, Cam Christie.
Only reason I say that, I didn't have Elijah Hawkins, but he can be one that we can use.
Okay.
How about
you go ahead? Yours now.
Chucky Hepburn.
Oh.
He's the one. He's the engine that made Wisconsin go. Let's just be honest.
I was higher on Chucky than other people were, so I agree with that.
Yeah, you can think about this, you guys. How often was Chucky in the game? All game? All game. Okay. So, yeah, he was their heart and soul, honestly. And it's going to be tough because you see they're going after several. Wisconsin doesn't just hit the portal like that. They got Tonje announced. You see they got Xavier Amos from Northern Illinois. They got another kid before that. Like, they're getting 3 and 4 transfer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be a whole new looking Wisconsin team too, and that's not Greg Gardish.
Yeah. Stephen Crowell is going to have to anchor the inside there and really be a staple for them. But all right, I'll go with the other Wisconsin guy, Ryan. I'll go with AJ Storr. I think it's good that Max Klesmit stuck around, but at the end of the day, AJ Storr was just such an offensive powerhouse for them that them losing AJ Storr, I think, is going to really, really hurt them next year. I don't know if, Wisconsin people predicted that to happen during the season. I definitely didn't see it coming, and then I looked into it, and I was like, wow, I should have seen this coming with how much he switched around schools and high schools and stuff like that. Makes his way over to Kansas. I think there's a reason why he's at Kansas, because he's a Kansas-level player, and at the end of the day, it's a huge blow for Wisconsin. I don't think we're going to see the same Wisconsin offense this year that we saw last year, and that's going to hurt them. Your next one, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true now. I didn't want to put him at second, but if you think about it, he led the Big Ten in assists, Elijah Hawkins in Minnesota. Think about it. You led the Big Ten in assists, okay? So I'm sticking with
one of the only guys that averaged over 7 assists on the season in the nation.
Yeah, so okay, I'm talking about the heart and soul of a Chucky Hepburn, but who made Minnesota dangerous? Who was feeding those guys? It was Elijah Hawkins. Yep. So Minnesota, those are 2 huge blows with Cam Christie and Elijah Hawkins leaving. But my first 2 were point guards, and my final 2 will not be. But I think that's 2 huge blows, and you can't really argue either one, in my opinion, because the success minute Wisconsin's had has been directly correlated with Chucky Hepburn. And Minnesota, the success that this year upcoming was going to be directly correlating with what Elijah Hawkins did. So that's my second one.
I agree. My third one is Cliff Amorier. Could you imagine Rutgers next year with Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper?
Oh,
and
my
Cliff
goodness.
I mean, man, the defense that Cliff Amorier could create for that team and the way they could be able to get out in transition. You turn Cliff Amorier into an outlet passer that you need with his rebounding and everything else. That would be really, really tricky. So Cliff Amorier, I think, was a huge loss for them. I wish he would have. I mean, we were talking in the season like he might graduate, he might move on, he might come back, and we didn't even think about the transfer portal because we just thought this is a Rutgers lifer guy. But looks like he's gonna move on and get paid. He had it seemed like everybody knew where he was going to go when he first left, but now he's still not committed anywhere. Kind of leaning maybe a little bit St. John's there for a little bit, and now it's kind of being rumored a couple other places. I think St. John's might still be in the mix, but I couldn't tell you where Cliff Amorier is going, and at the end of the day, I just think it stinks for Rutgers because I think he would have been a really good piece for them to have to be a much better team next year.
Yeah, and I think – I was gonna say I might stick. I might stick with point guard one more because I think what he could have been with Dusty May. How about Doug McDaniel?
Yeah.
I
struggle with Doug, but you go ahead.
I'm just saying too because I think with an actual coach, okay, a real coach. I think he could have been something because, they were a completely different team with Doug McDaniel. You know what I mean? I think that, he really could be a quality guard when his head was on. I think obviously grade wise, he needed to get his grades going, but I think, cause I know they're just one quality guard away from, I think, people probably picking them to win the Big Ten. Obviously, that Dusty May's done a great job, but
they got the front court.
And here's the thing: I was gonna say Terrace Reed, but then I thought because Terrace Reed to me is the dude I would take every day of the week. You got Vlad Golden and you got Danny Wolf. So I mean, can I really say Terrace Reed? That's why I want you guys to know I didn't say him.
Right.
because I was going to make him my third guy because he's going to tear it up at UConn, by the way. Like, think about that. He just went to UConn, okay? Does that tell you how talented the guy is? I think Danny Hurley sees something. I think you might want to open your eyes a little bit.
Yeah, if Danny Hurley takes a guy, you know that, oh, maybe we didn't get the most out of this guy. Yeah, I think Doug McDaniel, I struggle with him because he did just make some boneheaded plays where it was like, dude, you don't have to win the game on your own, but you're exactly right. If he had better coaching, maybe he wouldn't be making those decisions. My fourth guy, last guy, and then Began, Jay Began puts a good comment in there. Tony Perkins, he's another one that would be a good one to add. But another guy that I think is going to be really difficult for the team to lose this year is Mason Gillis leaving Purdue. I know that some people are acting like maybe it's not the biggest deal in the world, but I tell you, Mason Gillis, he's a culture piece there, and I'm a culture guy. Sue me. I believe in culture, especially in college basketball, but he's a culture guy there, and I really think that if you would have had him at the 4, even coming off the bench, I think he really could have helped Trey Kaufman-Renn in the front court there this next year. He could even play 3 for you, which you're losing your 4 guy to be the 5, and you're losing your 3 guy to graduation. I think that those 3 and 4 spots are important, and Mason Gillis could have really helped out there. So I think he's going to be a big departure loss.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a name from a incoming Big Ten team. What do you say to that? Huh?
Yeah, let's do additions.
I think it's Corin Jones left Washington.
Yeah.
He was going to be their best player. So I think he went to Louisville. We'll get that down, but that dude was going to be their best player, incoming team, and you got a new coach, and they're going the high school route now. So Jace Butler decommitted from Illinois to go play there because I think he knows he's going to start or play a lot. Because you think about this, they're losing a guy to the draft. I think Paul McKay, running out of eligibility, as wild as it was for him to go from Rutgers to Washington. But yeah, so I think I believe it's Jones, but correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but he was a hot commodity that Louisville went after and threw a lot of money at. So he would have started for Washington this coming year. And the new schedule's out, which is fun. So I don't know if you saw your schedule or not, but it looks like Illinois is going to go to Washington and Oregon, and then the LA schools are coming to Champaign.
Wow, that'll be fun.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw the schedule. Didn't have enough time to look at it to put it in the in the discussion tonight. So if you're looking for the schedule discussion, I apologize. Just didn't have enough time for it today. But with the portal ending tonight, I thought it was fun to talk about this. All right, let's give one addition guy each, our best addition for Big Ten teams, and then we'll move on. How does that sound, Ryan?
All right, you go. I'm not. I didn't write a list. These are all off memory, muscle memory. Yeah. So you give me yours, and then I'll name who I think the best addition is.
I'm gonna be a homer, and I'm gonna say Aaron Bradshaw for Ohio State. I think that losing Felix Okpara was a big blow, but I think that if you can get the pick and roll game with Bruce Thornton going with Aaron Bradshaw on him, I think that Aaron Bradshaw is gonna be a piece. I think that he can pick and pop or he can pick and roll, either one, and I think it's gonna be a good piece for the Ohio State offense. So for me, I'm going to go homer. I'm going to say Aaron Bradshaw. Michi Johnson is up there as well, but I'm really, really excited.
I'm surprised you didn't say Michi Johnson. Yeah, that's good.
Well, we already have a good guard in Bruce Thornton. So, not that I'm saying we don't need another good guard, but I feel like the front court after Felix Okpara left is lacking a little bit, and so Aaron Bradshaw fills that for me.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a homer, and then I'm going to think of another maybe. But I think Kylan Boswell for Illinois.
Yeah.
I think Kylan Boswell for Illinois can be a huge impact difference maker. I mean, here's the thing. Damask did a great job as the point guard, but he really wasn't a point guard. He was, a 2 guy that was able to use his body and find open guys and kind of the post mid-range type of situation. But I think Kylan Boswell not only can shoot near 40% from 3, but he's a really good assist guy. He's very unselfish, and I think he's ready to take his game to the next level. I would say Amar Ballo from Arizona going to Indiana is going to really help that front court out with,
I think he's
having all
better than
those.
Kalel Ware.
Yeah, like filling in
More
there with.
experienced.
Yeah, filling in there. Indiana's done a great job in the portal. Vlad Golden at Michigan's going to be great. I think, to go down the list of all the guys that Dusty May's bringing in there is pretty impressive. So I just didn't want to give a homer pick, but
No, I get it. A couple more, Kobe Johnson and Frankie Fiddler, two more. I won't go into depth with them, but do want to mention their names because they were two more that I had. Any names you want to mention really fast, Ryan? You don't have to go into depth, but any more names you were thinking about before we move on?
You talking about who could make you talking about make an impact?
Yeah, additional.
Well, let's see here. I'm thinking
if you
about.
don't have a name, it's fine. I just want to give you a chance if you did.
No, I hear you. Did Purdue? Who did Purdue add? Did they add anybody?
I don't think they've added anybody yet. If they have, I missed it. I'll check really fast, but
yeah. Like you haven't heard huge splashes. Like I know Maryland added one or two guys, but no, they didn't. They added one or two guys, yeah, but nothing too extravagant.
Football.
Northwestern.
Yeah, I can't recall anybody that Purdue has added that was a big splash or anything.
Nebraska added Gavin Griffiths from Rutgers.
Oh yeah, and Connor Essegian too.
Yes, and Connor Essegian. That's right. They lost Essegian too. So I'm talking about that guard. The guard culture is gone, I think, in my opinion. So
yeah. Purdue, they just lost Gillis and Morton. They haven't added anybody. So
okay.
I can't remember if First left or not, but 24/7 doesn't say he did. But
I would be shocked if he didn't, though. He barely played. So
yeah. All right, let's move on to the last topic here, and then we will get out of here. Oh, gotta move us around. All right, so Busting Brackets put out some power rankings, and Ryan and I are going to talk about them for a few minutes, and then we'll get out of here. Indiana at number 1, if you're listening on podcast. Purdue at number 2. Rutgers at number 3. Maryland at number 4. UCLA at number 5. Ohio State at number 6. I don't know if I put Ohio State above Illinois, Ryan, but that's.
I was about to say, you see, I'm kind of squinting here.
Right. Number 7, Nebraska. Number 8, Illinois. Seems a little low to me. Number 9, Michigan State. Number 10, Michigan. Number 11, Minnesota. Number 12, Wisconsin. Number 13, Northwestern. Number 14, USC. Number 15, Oregon. Penn State, Washington. And number 18, Iowa. Ryan, I'm sure you have a problem with the Illinois ranking here. Why don't you speak on that for a moment?
Yeah, well, I mean, you already agreed with it being wrong, but I think, too, it's kind of hard to say. I just don't know how, if a team is like on a couple of, or is like a top 10 transfer class, how, and then you're keeping another starter, a 2-year starter on your team, how you're like, you're going to be a middle of the pack, like just assuming that. And then once their class is done, I will promise you this, JR. Illinois will not be the 8th ranked team in anyone's preseason bracket in a few months. Okay, they're going to get a rim running, shot blocking 5, and they're going to get a lethal scoring 3 who can slash and who can shoot it, and then they're going to add another veteran guard to kind of, help Dre Gibbs-Lawhorn, and if Kylan Boswell has need any more help, they'll have a veteran presence, like a Justin Harmon. But I'm telling you, I think Illinois is going to be a top 4 preseason pick. I think Indiana and Michigan right now, I think are easy top 2 in my opinion. Where's he got? Where's he got?
Indiana and Michigan.
He's got Michigan at 10.
You think Michigan is a top 2 in the Big Ten right now?
I do. Have you not seen what Dusty?
I don't think so.
Have you not seen what Dusty May's brought in?
I saw what he brought in. I saw him bringing in Vlad Golden, and that's awesome. But no, I'm not that high on Michigan. Call me a Buckeye hater, but no.
Okay, but he has them at 10.
10 is too low. I will agree. 10 is too low.
I will say this.
Michigan should be over. I would say Rutgers. They should be over Maryland. Yes, I will agree they are too low, but I wouldn't put them top 2.
Well, and here's the thing, though. You got Rutgers at 3 based on what? Just really good freshmen? Like, that's it?
Yeah. Rutgers is not even top 10 to me. Show me first.
How
I need to
about
see
this?
the freshmen actually do it first.
When I'm at top 2 is I think Illinois is going to be in the top 4 when it's done. Michigan could be 4th. I just think I like the class.
Okay.
They're not done with it yet. But you also got to remember the coaching helps too now.
Yeah.
You know, like we can't just say, let's look at the roster. It's who's coaching the roster.
Yeah.
You know,
and that is the piece with Ohio State that I have a problem with them being up at 6 is that they do have some good roster pieces in there. And Jake Diebler did have a very good end of the season, which I know I'm saying this with the Ohio State logo next to me. Sue me. I'm critical of my team. You just saw me be critical of Illinois when I like them. So this is just how my fandom goes. But, you know, we have to see Jake Diebler actually enter into a season and do some of the things he was able to do because in the NIT tournament, he didn't look like some of the players were playing as well as they did during the season. But, again, I'm not going to sit here and hammer Buckeyes for too long.
if what's his name from Minnesota, your transfer, what was his name? The lefty?
Christie or Hawkins?
No. You for Ohio State. The lefty you guys got from Minnesota.
Oh, Battle. Yeah, Jamison.
Yes,
Battle.
Jamison Battle could hit a couple open threes at the end of that Georgia game. I mean,
I know.
He was wide open. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, you can coach your tail off, but if guys don't hit open shots, then it doesn't really matter. So I would say this. We don't
Thanks
agree.
For bringing back the pain, Ryan.
I think we need to bust in brackets balls a little on this. I think we should tweet at him, both of us.
Yeah. Tell him what's up. I don't have a problem with UCLA in the top 5. I think UCLA has had a really, really good transfer portal class, and I think that Mick Cronin's a good coach. So
plus, they got really good. They got really good young players too.
Yeah. I think Michigan State with the addition of Frankie Fiddler, Tom Izzo. You know, I still question him a little bit, but I still think he's one of the best coaches in college basketball. Don't you?
You
think
lose
so,
Sissoko and Hoggard and. Here's the thing: you lose Sissoko, you lose Hoggard, plus
I don't know.
Plus Tyson Walker's graduating.
Yeah,
so
Tyson Walker leaving, that hurts. I don't know if 9 is. I might move him up a few spots. Nebraska at 7. I do have a little bit of a hard time because I do like Griffiths and I do like Asijan, and I do think Nebraska has a good chance to be a tournament team. I don't know.
Because they're going to have Bryce Williams back. They're going to have Rink Mass back.
Yep.
They did lose.
Too, I think.
They lost a couple. Obviously, Tominaga graduated. I was surprised that they lost. They had a guy that was on their team for like 4 or 5 years, a light skinned. I'm trying to think where
Lawrence?
he went. Lawrence left. Yeah. So they've had a couple pieces that left. So, but yeah, man.
All right, let's get into some comments and then we'll get out of here. How's that sound, Ryan?
Sounds good.
Maryland way too high. Their coach is still Willard. Good one, Philip.
True. He can't. I don't think he could coach a wet paper bag.
Yeah, probably not. I was really, really critical of him earlier this year. As long as Woodson is as coach, IU is never winning the Big Ten. I don't know. I'm not as down on Woodson as other people are. Do you think Woodson's a bad coach?
I don't think he's a bad coach. I think he's a little older. I think sometimes.
I just think he's traditional.
Yeah, a little old school. But I think that he'll coach him enough to be in the top 4. That's what I think. IU will be a top 4 team this year.
Very, very good possibility of that happening. Fisherman says Michigan isn't top 2. I agree, Fisherman. We talked about that a little bit further, though. What we're meaning. May needed Davis, Jonell Davis. He didn't get him. Yeah, I don't know what happened in that whole situation. I didn't buy the whole academic stuff because I think he was a graduate transfer, and I think he probably could have made it happen. But
so he couldn't get into Michigan the same reason that Caleb Love couldn't get into Michigan. So
that's what I heard. I don't know if I believe that though. Like I said, I who knows? I think sometimes Michigan blames their issues on academics too much. I don't even know if it was Michigan blaming it this time or if it was somebody else. Don't get me wrong, Michigan, very good academic school. Harvard.
And just to clear this up, I think Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Purdue fans can say all they want. I think Purdue will be a good team. I think they'll be a top 25 team again. They're not going to be a top 10 team this coming season. Okay.
No, I think they needed to go into the portal if they wanted to be a top 10, top 5.
I think team. UCLA and maybe I was trying to think who UCLA could be the 4th best team, I think, to join that. Maryland's right behind them because talent-wise, Maryland could be in the top 4, but again, Willard is the problem. Mick Cronin, great coach, can't, I think Ohio State and Diebler, we'll see how that goes, but talent-wise, I think they'll be in the mix. They should be a tournament team coming up. But you know what? I know we got to discuss this because it's still May, but I'm telling you, when the portal's done and closed in June and July, we're going to have a whole lot better idea how these teams are going to look. So then we can give Bustin' Brackets a reality check.
Yeah, we'll let them know. Dusty May gonna keep the trophy cases dusty because no one wants to open to add more. Good one, Philip.
Oh goodness.
Jay Biggin with all the questions tonight. Pick one team you're afraid of in the Big Ten. Off top of your head, I would say my one team I'm afraid of. I mean, I know it's a kind of a one everybody knows. Indiana. I guess if I'm gonna pick a sleeper team, it would probably be Northwestern, just because I think Chris Collins is a really good coach, and I think that they can put together a team even if you don't always see it coming with the best players and really put it together. So
okay,
and I'm afraid of playing at Northwestern. I don't like going to Northwestern. That place is crazy.
A team that I'm glad we get in Champaign only next year is UCLA. Yep. And a team that is a sleeper that always seems to just come is Oregon with Dana Altman.
Yeah. Yep. Oregon, I think they're one of the ones on this list. Of course, they didn't do much in the portal, so they've not gotten very much hype. Last one, Woodson doesn't understand how to utilize the 3. I don't know if he doesn't understand it or if he just isn't willing to, but he's got Luke Goody coming in this year, so this is the year he doesn't have any excuses.
That's
we'll
right.
Really find out for a fact, can Woodson utilize the 3?
He's got the ginger assassin from Fort Wayne coming.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Ryan, thank you so much. Move back to the regular screen here. Thank you so much for coming on. You want to tell people where they can find Keeping It Orange and Blue one more time?
Oh, yeah, 100%. YouTube, Keeping It Orange and Blue at 200 Columns, either or. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Follow me on X at 200 Columns Rye and at 200 Columns. All that good stuff. Everything's posted on there. We have an episode every week. And again, the Discord. We post links. All the good stuff that gets you between the podcasts. Keeps you going. That's what we use it for, because you might say, oh, you guys go every 6 or 7 days. Well, how can we hear or talk to you in between then? Hit me up on X, but that Discord is where I like to post a lot of the good stuff, some of the stuff you were asking me and talking about here today.
The juicy stuff.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much for coming in. Everybody else, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. I tell you, these basketball episodes are blowing up, and we'd never be able to do stuff
Are
like this.
Are we going to have? Is this going to be back on? Are you going to put this back on X again at some point, or
is it not on X?
No, I thought you just had it on. I think it's just on YouTube tonight. I didn't see it streaming on.
I forget to click X. Gosh,
yes, you did.
I'll post a link to it for X. I'm sorry, that's my bad.
No, I wasn't trying to interrupt in the middle of the episode, but this one was just a YouTube episode. Yep.
Yeah, there we go. YouTube exclusive this time, everybody. So
that's right.
There we go. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Have a good night.